Reflection, ladies and gentlemen, life will test you. People will provoke you. Circumstances will challenge you. But remember this, your emotions are your power. Reflection. The moment you let someone else dictate how you feel, you hand them the remote control to your peace. And once they have it, they'll switch your mood, your focus, reflection, your energy. Whenever they want, you've got to take that control back, because emotional control isn't about being cold. It's about being calm in the storm. Reflection. It's about knowing who you are and refusing to let anyone pull you out of that alignment. You see, the world feeds on reaction. It wants to see you angry. It wants to see you broken. Reflection. But the real strength, the quiet, unshakable kind, is when you smile through chaos, stand tall through criticism, and stay centered even when you're misunderstood. That's mastery. Reflection. You must decide today that nobody, not a friend, not a stranger, not a situation, gets the privilege of running your mind. You can feel everything, but don't let everything control you. Reflection. Because emotions are meant to move through you, not rule you. Control your emotions and you control your life. No one has the right to decide how you feel. Reflection. You may not control what people say or do, but you always control what you allow to live inside you. Every moment you let anger, frustration, reflection, or bitterness run your mind because of someone else's words, you give away a piece of your strength. Reflection. You let their actions take the driver's seat while you sit in the back watching your emotions crash into walls you never built. Reflection. Emotional responsibility means understanding that you are the gatekeeper of your peace. It means realizing that no matter what storm others bring, you control whether it enters your house or not. Reflection. When you start to take ownership of your emotions, something powerful happens. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop saying, they made me mad, and you begin to say, reflection. I chose not to be shaken. That's not arrogance. That's awareness. It's maturity. Because emotional responsibility is not about ignoring feelings. Reflection, it's about managing them with wisdom. It's knowing that emotions are signals, not instructions. They tell you what's happening inside, but they don't get to decide what you do next. Reflection. People will offend you. They will misunderstand you. They might even try to provoke you just to see if they can control you. But when you truly grasp that your emotions are your responsibility, reflection, you stop giving them that satisfaction. You stop handing them your peace like a free gift. Instead, you hold your ground. You look at them with calmness that confuses their chaos. Reflection. You understand that their behavior reflects their inner world, not yours. When someone shouts, you can choose silence. When someone lies, you can choose integrity. Reflection. When someone tries to bring darkness, you can still choose light. That's not weakness. That's control. Because the strongest person is not the one who can fight back. Reflection. But the one who can rise above. The one who refuses to let the outside world dictate their inner climate. When you master that reflection, when you stop giving others the power to press your emotional buttons, you become unshakable. You move through life steady, balanced, focused, and no one can take that away from you. Reflection. Real strength is not in shouting, reacting, or proving a point. It's in the stillness that can stand firm when the world is trying to shake you. People often confuse calmness with weakness, reflection. But calmness is control. It is the discipline of holding your fire until it becomes light instead of destruction. Anyone can explode when they're angry, but it takes real power to breathe, reflection, to think and to act with purpose instead of impulse. The calm person isn't numb, they're focused. They've learned that emotion is energy, and when it's directed with control, reflection, it becomes power. There's a deep kind of confidence that comes when you no longer feel the need to match every tone, argue with every word, or prove yourself to everyone. Reflection. When someone insults you, you don't react, you observe. You watch how easily people lose themselves in their own emotions and realize that's not the kind of power you want. Reflection. True control is silent, it's internal, and it comes from knowing that reacting gives the other person the victory. When you stay composed, you stay in command of your own energy. Reflection, your own dignity and your own focus. Think about it. Every great leader, every wise soul, every person who truly moved through life with impact had emotional control. Reflection, not because they were emotionless, but because they understood timing. They knew that anger wasted in a moment of pride could destroy years of progress. Reflection, they knew that reacting in heat could make them say or do things that couldn't be undone. Reflection, emotional control is awareness. It's the understanding that feelings are temporary, but consequences are not. So they used emotion as fuel, not as a leash. They spoke when it mattered, reflection. They acted when it counted, and they remained composed when others fell apart. When you reach that level of mastery, people will notice. They'll try to provoke you. And when you don't react, reflection, they'll call you cold, detached, or even arrogant. But you'll know better You'll know that control doesn't mean you don't care. Reflection. It means you care enough not to let emotions lead you into regret. You've trained yourself to pause, to breathe, to think clearly before you act. That pause, that quiet moment of awareness, reflection is where power lives. Because anyone can swing back, but only the strong can stay still and watch the storm pass without losing their peace. Reflection. That kind of power cannot be taken. It must be developed, refined, and protected. Once you have it, you no longer fear chaos. You navigate through it with grace. Reflection. Life will always send you tests dressed as people, words, and situations. Some will come to support you, but many will come to trigger you, to see what controls you. Reflection. You'll notice that the more you grow, the more you'll attract situations that challenge your emotional stability. Someone will say something careless, someone will betray a promise, reflection, or a situation will fall apart right when you thought it was secure. And in those moments, the universe isn't punishing you, it's teaching you. Reflection is showing you where your weaknesses still live. It's asking, are you truly in control, or do your emotions still own you? Every reaction you give is an answer to that question. Reflection. When you explode in anger, when you rush into proving your worth, when you let bitterness guide your words, you show that something outside of you still has power inside of you. Reflection. But when you stay calm, when you choose understanding over ego and patience over pride, you show that you've learned the lesson. You've passed the test. Reflection. The goal isn't to avoid being tested. That's impossible. The goal is to reach a point where nothing and no one can pull you away from your peace. Reflection. People often try to press your buttons just to see what happens. They do it to measure your strength. If you're quick to react, they learn how to manipulate you. Reflection. They learn what gets under your skin, and they'll use it again and again. But when you give them no reaction, when you remain still and composed, you take away their control. Reflection. You teach them that your emotions are not available for their amusement. You teach them that your peace is not up for negotiation. And the moment you do that, the dynamic changes. Suddenly, reflection, their power fades and yours grows. You can see this truth everywhere, in relationships, in workplaces, even in everyday life. The person who reacts emotionally loses the position of strength, reflection, while the one who stays calm earns respect, even from those who disagree with them. Your ability to remain steady under pressure tells the world that you are not moved by chaos. Reflection. You are anchored in self-awareness. It shows that you build a fortress within yourself that no insult, no disappointment, no disrespect can break. Tests will come again and again. Reflection. Sometimes disguised as people you love, sometimes as strangers who don't even know your name. But every time you choose not to be pulled into their emotional current, you grow stronger. Reflection. You gain clarity. You develop resilience that can't be shaken by temporary storms. Because at the end of the day, life isn't testing your emotions. It's testing your discipline, reflection, your growth, and your mastery. And every time you refuse to react, every time you choose peace over pride, you prove to yourself that you are no longer a prisoner to what used to control you. Reflection. Peace is one of the most valuable treasures you will ever possess. And yet most people give it away without even realizing it. They hand it over to arguments that don't matter, reflection, to opinions that hold no weight, and to situations that don't deserve their attention. Reflection. Protecting your peace is not about isolating yourself from the world. It's about deciding what energy deserves to enter your space. Every time you argue with negativity, reflection, you open the door to chaos. Every time you try to prove yourself to someone committed to misunderstanding you, you drain the energy that could have built your future. Peace isn't found, reflection, it's protected. And the more you value it, the fewer things you'll allow to disturb it. When you begin to truly protect your peace, you'll notice something. Silence becomes your best friend. Reflection. You won't feel the need to respond to everything. You won't explain yourself to everyone, because you'll understand that peace is louder than any defense. Reflection. There's power in letting things slide, not because you're weak, but because you're wise enough to know that not every battle is worth fighting. When you start choosing silence over chaos, reflection, you gain control. You realize that your reaction is what gives life to most conflicts. If you don't respond, you cut off the oxygen that feeds the fire. Reflection. There will always be people who thrive on drama, who look for ways to pull you into their emotional storm. They'll throw words, insults, and opinions just to see if they can break your calm. Reflection. But when you stand firm, when you refuse to engage, they lose their power. You show them that your peace is not a playground. You show them that your spirit can't be shaken by noise. Reflection. That kind of control intimidates people because they don't understand it. They mistake it for arrogance, but it's actually mastery. Reflection. It's the confidence of someone who knows their worth too deeply to waste it on foolishness. Protecting your peace also means learning the power of walking away. Reflection. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is not to react, not to argue, not to explain. Just walk away with dignity. Because when you walk away, you're not losing, you're preserving. Reflection. You're saving your energy for what truly matters. Your growth, your goals, your happiness. You stop letting temporary people or passing moments decide your emotional climate. Reflection. You start living from a place of intention, not reaction. Every day, you'll face moments that test your peace. Traffic, criticism, disappointments, misunderstandings. Reflection. But if you can hold your calm through them, you'll realize how powerful you become. Because peace is not found in the absence of problems. It's found in the presence of self-control. Reflection. And once you experience that level of peace, you'll never want to lose it again. It becomes sacred. It becomes your foundation. Reflection. It becomes the quiet strength that carries you through anything life throws your way. Every major downfall in life begins with a small, unchecked reaction. A word spoken in anger. Reflection. A decision made in frustration. A moment of pride that clouded judgment. And suddenly, what could have been handled with calmness turns into regret. That's the power of emotional control. Reflection. It shapes the entire direction of your life. When you learn to master your emotions, you stop making temporary feelings responsible for permanent outcomes. Reflection. You stop letting mood swings dictate your actions, and instead you move with clarity, purpose, and intention. Emotional control doesn't just protect your peace. It protects your destiny. Reflection. When you can stay composed under pressure, you create space for wisdom to speak. In chaos, emotions scream, but in calmness, truth whispers. Reflection. That's why those who stay emotionally steady can see what others can't. They think while others panic. They plan while others react. Reflection. And that's how they rise above the noise and take control of their path. Every decision you make while angry or fearful is like driving through fog. You might move fast. Reflection, but you can't see clearly. Yet when you're calm, the fog lifts and your vision becomes sharp. You can see opportunities where others see obstacles. Reflection. You can navigate pain without losing perspective. In life, emotions are natural, but reactions are optional. Every time you pause before reacting, you buy yourself time to choose the better path. Reflection. You stop yourself from burning bridges you might need to cross again. You save relationships, protect your reputation, and maintain control over your direction. Reflection. Most people lose progress not because of what others do, but because of how they respond. They let anger dictate their words, ego dictate the choices, and impulsiveness dictate their actions. Reflection. But those who remain calm build something stronger. Consistency. And consistency is what carries you from one level of success to the next. Reflection. Think about the moments when you lost control, the arguments that escalated, the chances that slipped away, the peace that vanished. In each one, it wasn't the situation that destroyed it, reflection, but the reaction. When you can master your emotions, you prevent those small cracks from turning into deep fractures. You begin to lead yourself with wisdom instead of impulse. Reflection. You start to respond to life strategically instead of emotionally. That is how people who succeed operate, not because they never feel reflection, but because they've trained themselves to feel everything and still choose clarity. Emotional control doesn't make life easier, but it makes you stronger. It doesn't stop storms from coming, reflection, but it teaches you how to steer through them. When you choose to stay calm in chaos, you don't just protect your moment, you shape your future. Because the calm mind builds, reflection, the emotional mind breaks. Every calm choice you make adds structure to your life, while every emotional reaction chips away at it. When you understand this, reflection, you'll start treating your emotions with discipline the same way an artist handles fire, not to destroy, but to create. And when you live with that kind of balance, no situation, no person, reflection, no hardship can derail your destiny. True freedom begins the moment you no longer allow anyone or anything to control the way you feel. Reflection. It's not about escaping people or avoiding the world. It's about mastering yourself so deeply that nothing external can disturb your inner peace. When you depend on others for happiness, reflection, validation, or emotional security, you hand them control over your life. You allow their moods to dictate your mood, their approval to define your worth, and their actions to determine your peace. Reflection. But when you decide that your emotions belong only to you, you reclaim the freedom that most people spend their entire lives chasing. Reflection. Emotional independence is the highest form of power because it means you no longer live at the mercy of other people's behavior. Reflection. There comes a time when you must realize that nobody owes you emotional balance. It's your responsibility. The world will not always be kind. People will disappoint you, promises will break, reflection, and life will not always go as planned. But emotional independence means that you can face those storms and remain steady. You can lose people without losing yourself. Reflection. You can face rejection without falling apart. You can stand alone and still feel whole. Because when your peace comes from within, it cannot be stolen. It's not built on compliments, money, flexion, or relationships. It's built on self-awareness, discipline, and a deep connection with your own values. When you reach that state, everything changes. You stop chasing people who drain you. Reflection. You stop explaining your worth to those who don't see it. You stop reacting to every insult, every judgment, every false story told about you. You simply rise above it. Reflection. You understand that the person who has control over your emotions has control over your destiny, and you're not willing to give that to anyone. You start to move differently. Quieter, calmer, flexion, more confident, because your peace no longer depends on what's happening around you. You know that peace is an inside job. Reflection. Emotional independence also means you've learned to enjoy your own company. You don't need constant noise or approval to feel complete. You can sit in silence and feel content. Reflection. You can be alone without being lonely because you've built a relationship with yourself. That kind of independence gives you clarity. Flexion. You begin to see who truly deserves your time and who only disturbs your peace. You stop trying to fix everyone around you and start focusing on strengthening the world within you. Reflection. And when you live from that place, that grounded, self-owned, emotionally balanced space, the world starts to respond to you differently. Opportunities appear, respect follows, reflection and energy aligns. People can sense it, that calm authority, that quiet confidence that says, I am in control of me. You no longer chase validation, you attract it. Reflection. You no longer beg for peace, you embody it. Because the person who has mastered their emotions has mastered their life. And once you reach that level of freedom, flexion, you realize that no argument, no disappointment, no betrayal can take it from you again. So when life tries to shake you, when people test your patience, reflection, when situations rise to steal your peace, stand still, breathe. Remember who you are and what you've built inside. You are not here to react to the world. You are here to rise above it. Flexion. Your emotions are your compass, not your cage. Don't let anyone hold the keys to your peace, because the moment you learn to master your emotions, you become untouchable. Not cold, flexion, but calm, not emotionless, but powerful. Let them talk, let them doubt, let them test. But through it all, keep your center, move with grace, speak with purpose, live with balance. Reflection. Because real strength is quiet, real peace is chosen, and real power is found when nothing and no one can disturb the calm within you. Flexion. Never let anyone control your emotions again, for when you own your peace, you own your power. And when you own your power, you own your life.